This is the Snow Golem Prison, one of Minecraft's most difficult escape rooms. It has a bunch of different rooms, each with their own unique puzzles and challenges. If I make one mistake, I'll die and lose everything. I spawned in on top of an ice bridge with snow golems shooting across it in front of me. I looked down and saw that it wasn't that far of a fall, but I was low on health, so it would kill me. Suddenly, I heard a block break behind me, and I realized the bridge was collapsing. With no time to spare, I started sprinting and barely managed to make it across without getting knocked off. After coming to terms with the fact that I nearly died in the first 10 seconds, I proceeded forward down a long hallway. At the end of it, there was a short drop, and I heard what sounded like a polar bear. I decided to drop down because I knew that even if there was one, it wouldn't attack me as long as I left it alone. In the room, I found a pretty friendly ice bear as well as a command block with a sign above it that read activate me. On a wall opposite of it, there was also an item frame with a sword in it. I decided to try and use the sword and item frame on various spots on the wall to see if there was any hidden redstone, but after a while, I found there was nothing. Out of pure frustration, I used the sword to slay the polar bear, and shockingly, I found that it dropped a button. I picked it up and placed it onto the command block, and when I pressed it, I found that I was teleported to another room. This room had a massive pool of lava in the center, and an opening in the wall clear on the other side. On my side of the room, there was some snow on the floor, and nothing else. I began looking around and found that there was also a villager trading seeds for a shovel that was hidden in the wall. I had some seeds left over from the previous prison, so I used them to get the shovel, and then I used the shovel to break the snow for some snowballs. After breaking a few blocks, I found that there was a hopper hidden under one. I opened it up, and inside found a name tag with the name Snowy. I grabbed it and then crafted the snowballs into blocks of snow. I was able to make 2 blocks, which would not be enough to get me over to the other side. I figured I was still missing something, so I began checking under the lava and found that there was a container with a pumpkin. I realized that with the snow as well as the pumpkin, I had the necessary blocks to make a snowman. I decided to just build it, and since I had the name tag, I decided to just use it on the snowman as well. As it started moving around, I realized that it was leaving behind snow, which I could break and then use to get the lava. After getting a bunch of snow from it, my shovel broke, so I crafted the snow and then decided to punch Snowy into the lava. But surprisingly, when he hit the lava, he didn't fall in. Instead, it turned to ice and he was able to stand on it. I decided not to waste the snow and instead pushed him across it, making a path. After crossing, I walked through the doorway and found a sign that told me to go through without drowning. I looked up and saw that there was some water, which I assumed I was supposed to swim through. I could also see some ice, and I assumed there would be some ice tunnels I would have to quickly swim through. I decided to just go for it and swam straight up. It was a dead end, so I went back down for air. I then tried going straight and found another dead end. Once again, I returned for air, and then this time went right. This tunnel was much longer than the other ones, and at the end of it, it appeared to be the correct one because it led me to a water elevator. At the top of it, I found myself in an empty room. There didn't appear to be anything, and after searching every possible place, I still found nothing. After giving up, I decided to place my bed and sleep. But when I woke up, I realized that a doorway had appeared. I walked through it and found another empty room, but this one had a hole in the ceiling. I decided to use the snow blocks to scale up it, and at the top I found another room. The first thing that I noticed was a hole in the floor. I peered down it and saw that it was a pretty far drop, but since it was only 1 block tall, I was unable to fit in it and get a full look. I then turned around and noticed that there was an opening in the wall that had a target at the end of it. I knew that I had 1 snowball left, so I decided to just use it, and when I hit the target, another hole appeared in another wall. This hole revealed a hopper with powdered snow inside of it. I grabbed it and then realized that a hole had also opened up by the floor. and that I was now able to drop down it. I realized that using the powdered snow, I would be able to do a clutch, At the bottom, I found a long hallway with an ice cave at the end of it. The room was full of cave spiders that I knew would come and attack me. I turned around and saw no other place to go, so I knew that I had to enter the cave. I went back, but before I dropped down, I decided to look around the cave. I saw on the side opposite of me, there was a hole with a ladder going up. To the side, I saw an item frame with an ender pearl inside of it, and to the other side, I realized that there was a block of wool. I figured that if I was fast enough, I could grab the wool and then sprint over and grab the pearl, and then swiftly get to the hole without getting killed by the spiders. I decided to just go for it and was immediately swarmed. I first grabbed the wool and narrowly made it without getting killed. Then I sprinted over to the pearl and grabbed it. Lastly, I ran to the hole and quickly scaled up into it. With nothing to lose and no time to make a choice, I just decided to enter pearl through the ladder. Fortunately, it worked, and on the other side, I found myself standing in a pool of water. I swam up a bit and thought I could escape, but then I realized I was completely surrounded by invisible barriers. I swam back down to get some air and then decided to try swimming straight up. Fortunately, I made it and at the top found a button. When I pressed it, I was teleported and at first didn't know where. But after looking around, I realized I was on top of the snow golem. I peered down and saw no way to get off of it, and after completely searching around the golem, I found no way down. I was about to give up when I noticed that some of the blocks on its head were different colors but covered in snow. After I cleared the snow off, I realized that it looked like a landing pattern. I looked down to see if I could find a similar pattern anywhere else, and eventually I noticed one. I zoomed in and realized that one of the blocks appeared to be different from the others. I looked back at the pattern and realized that it matched it. I decided to just go for it, and this is what happened. Subscribe.